Jolly Julian here. I'm going to do something a little different today. I just wanted to do a little kind of off the cuff video today about virtual reality and give you kind of the reason why I love virtual reality so much. And that is my first experience when they put a VR headset on and saw the world through those virtual eyes. And I just kind of wanted to take a moment and share what that experience was. Now, this happened, I want to say about 6 or 7 years ago. I had no idea really that VR was even a thing. I wasn't in the VR ecosystem. I wasn't paying attention to it at all. I had no idea what this was all about. I hadn't even really heard much about it. But I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm also a big Disney fan, as you can see from my poster back there. I'm a big Disney fan. I'm a big fan of Disney World. And this brings me to my first virtual reality experience. About 6 or 7 years ago, I was visiting Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida with my family, which consists of my sister and my parents. I don't have children of my own. And as we were getting ready to go there, we were doing a little pre-planning, and I discovered that as a Star Wars fan, there was this really cool thing at Disney Springs, which is this little kind of nightclub and restaurant area that they have at Walt Disney World that is separate from the parks, the Magic Kingdom and Epcot and all that stuff. Don't worry, I'm getting to the VR stuff here. Don't go anywhere. Believe me, don't go anywhere. At Disney Springs, right there, they had this place called the Void. And I saw that they had this Star Wars experience. And that's what got my attention. It wasn't so much the virtual reality thing. It was that it was a Star Wars experience that touted itself as bringing you into a Star Wars story, rather than watching it as a movie or anything or on a computer screen or whatever, that it was going to bring you into the experience. And I thought, well, this sounds really cool. I think we should try this out. So I ran it by my sister and her husband and my father, and the four of us together, we were going to spend about $30, $35 each for this 10 or 15 minute experience at the Void at Disney Springs to do this Star Wars experience. So we get down there. We go, we sign in and all this stuff, and they start telling us what this is going to be like. And they said, you're going to be wearing this backpack, and in the backpack is the technology that's going to be doing all this stuff for you. You're going to wear this headset on your head, and where you walk through this experience, it's going to be like you're in a completely different world. Even though the walls here are all just kind of plain walls and everything, as you put the headset on, all of a sudden it's going to transform into the world of Star Wars. I was getting kind of excited, but I thought, okay, well, all right, how cool can this be? But, this is neat. Well, they put the headset on for the first time, and we're just getting ready, and they're putting the headset on, making sure it fits and everything. And then all of a sudden they say, all right, here we go. And boom, the world around us changes into the interior of an Empire, like base station or something there in Star Wars. And I'm looked down, and I'm wearing Stormtrooper armor. And I've got a gun that is a plastic physical gun that I'm holding in my hand. That when I look down in virtual reality, it's a stormtrooper's blaster. And I was blown away. And I look next to me, and my sister's husband is standing next to me, and he's like, "This is so cool." He's talking to me, and his stormtrooper, he's wearing a stormtrooper helmet. He looks at me, and I'm looking at a stormtrooper, and he's looking at me. It was transformative. I can't state enough how cool this was and how unexpected it was. So the first thing that I did was, as soon as we got it, I took my blaster. I'm like, I have to try this. And I aimed it at my brother-in-law, and I pulled the trigger, and he went, ow! And he felt a little thing, it made a little feeling, like a little rumbling with a haptic, feedback thing. And he said, "You shot me." It was fantastic. I'm sorry, it was fantastic. And there we hadn't even started the experience yet. This was the experience of just getting the stuff on. So then we went through this whole thing where they told us just kind of go where you think you need to go, and it will all become clear. And we're walking through hallways, and as we're doing that, we're walking through doors that are physical doors that we can feel with our hands in the real world. But in the virtual world, they look like doors that are made by the Empire on the Death Star or something like that. And then the coolest thing happened that will always probably be one of the most life-changing experiences I've ever had when it comes to virtual reality. And that is, I'm standing on this platform overlooking this lava pit underneath. We're apparently on Mustafar, right? On Darth Vader's home base, right? We're looking down. We see this lava. I feel this heat coming up from the floor, coming up from there like it's lava. I could feel the heat from it. That's not the cool thing. The cool thing's coming. And then I hear this sound. The little 8-year-old in me that saw Star Wars for the first time was freaking out, and I heard that sound and I went, "Where's Vader?" And I look across the way, and across this platform going over the lava, this door opens and Darth Vader's silhouette is there. And I'm like, "Oh, that's Vader." And he walks toward us. I cannot describe to you the feeling of seeing Darth Vader in 3D, life size, in front of me while I'm feeling the heat from the lava and looking at my stormtrooper buddies next to me and holding this blaster in my hand. I was in this world. I was in a galaxy far, far away in a way I had no concept I would feel. It blew me away. That was my first experience. The Void, Disney Springs, Orlando, Florida, 2015, 16, 17, something like that. I cannot thank them enough for that experience, because I left that experience as soon as we got done. It was so cool. We got done. We just talked to each other. We couldn't stop talking about it. I immediately checked to see if we could get signed up to do it again. And we did it a second time a few days later, and it was just as cool. I mean, that wow factor of the first time wasn't still there. But I mean, now I saw it in a completely different way. I was experiencing new things. I was experiencing new aspects to it that I hadn't even noticed the first time. And then I decided, okay, this VR thing is amazing. I need to see, is there anything like this for home use? Is there anything, can I do this when I get back home? So I immediately Googled it on my phone, and I found out there was this thing called the Oculus Rift. And there was this thing called the Vive, the HTC Vive and the HTC Vive Pro. And I went down a rabbit hole for a brief time. We're on vacation. We're walking around Disney World, and I'm Googling this because I can't get it out of my head. And by the time we left Disney World to come home, I had purchased a $1,200 or $1,300 HTC Vive Pro for myself. I wanted the most expensive. I wanted the best experience that I could get, and it was expensive. That was not a small amount of money for me at all. But I wanted the very best, and I figured it was more expensive, so it probably was better. And I read reviews, and they said the Pro was really great. I got that. When I got back home, I got it set up with my base stations, and all that stuff. I was in cloud nine. And then I just dove into every experience I could find. There was a Star Trek Bridge Crew was one of the first experiences I did, because I was like, hey, I loved Star Wars. Well, they got this Star Trek thing where you're on the bridge of the Enterprise and you're commanding the Enterprise with your friends. And I loved it. I freaked out. It was so amazing. It just transformed everything for me. And now it's very rare that a day goes by in my life that I'm not in VR for at least a half hour to an hour. Why am I saying all this? I don't know. I guess I felt the urge to share how I got into VR for the first place. And I wanted to give a big thank you out to The Void, which no longer exists, or at least I hear rumblings that they're trying to get back going again. But a few years back, we all remember this terrible thing called COVID swept the world, and it shut down everything. And it certainly shut down location-based virtual reality like The Void. They went out of, they had to close. They couldn't stay open. So, but there's rumblings that they might be starting back up, and I hope they do, because I owe an immense amount of gratitude to them, because the first experience I had in VR that's still the best experience I've ever had overall, because it incorporated the haptic feedback, the environment, being able to walk in the real world and walk through doors and walls and hold a blaster and look down and have it look like a blaster in the virtual reality, a Star Wars blaster. It combined everything that it was so immersive that it made me have to do as much of that as I could at home. Since the HTC Vive Pro, I've had an Oculus Rift, a Oculus Rift S. I've had the valveindex, the Oculus Go, the Quest 1, the Quest 2, the Quest 3. I've had my share of headsets. I've loved and enjoyed every single one of them. I look forward to having more of them. I am not an early adopter on very many things. I've been a relative early adopter when it comes to virtual reality. I can tell you right now, if Valve comes out with another headset, I'm going to be first in line to buy that thing. You know, I don't normally like to be at the front end of technology. I like it to get established, get the bugs worked out and so forth before I get involved in it. With virtual reality, I can't get enough of it fast enough. So that's part of why I'm Jolly Julian. I'm Jolly Julian because I love Star Wars. I love virtual reality. I love the Void. They combined all that into one beautiful thing for me that transformed my life forever. Virtual reality will continue to be a part of my life until the day I die. I feel very convinced of that. And I hope that you love and enjoy virtual reality as much as I do. And if you don't, that's totally okay. It's not for everyone. Although I feel there are experiences that everyone can enjoy. So if you're even thinking, if you're watching this and you've never tried virtual reality, you know, you can't go to the Void anymore right now. But you know what you can do is you can go and you can order yourself a MetaQuest 2 for $250 and you can try this thing at home. That's all you need. And you can start to experience things. In fact, if you like Star Wars, there's this thing called Vader Immortal. I love Vader Immortal. Some people don't, some people don't like it because they don't feel it's quite interactive enough. I love Vader Immortal because it brings me into the Star Wars world in a way that no other experience truly has. With the exception of what I did at the Void, of course. So it's the closest thing to what I experienced at the Void, and you can do it at home. You can do it right in a $250 headset and be part of a Star Wars story yourself. I hope this has been interesting to you. If it was boring, I apologize. Truthfully, our memories of things are our own, and it's very hard to express to other people what those things are and what they mean to us because it's all our own context. No one else can possibly feel what I'm feeling right now just recalling that experience. But I hope maybe it will help you to recall the first experiences you had in VR. Were they life-changing for you? And hopefully you still get just a small percentage of that same giddiness, that same sense of awe, wonder, and surprise every time you put on that VR headset. I know I do. Talk to you on the next video.